piecewise models are models that are made up of different formulae for different sections of the domain. We're going to be looking at linear models here. We have a tiler charging a $200 call-out fee plus $75 an hour for the first 3 hours and $60 an hour thereafter. What's important is that these are going to be linear models, which means that this will give us an equation which can be rearranged into y equals mx plus c, where the gradient m is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The easiest way to do this is to generate a table of values, a set of coordinates that we can use to substitute into these and get our different equations for the different sections. So, first thing is that we have this $200 call-out fee. Alright, this bit here, the first 3 hours, actually gives us the domain for the first part of this piecewise linear model. That's 0 up to 3 hours, so makes sense to find this end point. So after 3 hours, we will have been charged $200 just for the tiler turning up, plus $75 an hour for 3 hours. $75 times 3, that's $225, so that's $425. And then we have the second part of our domain restriction. And that's this bit here, thereafter. So that's the second part. T greater than 3. So all we need to do is pick some other point after 3 hours. Let's go with 4 hours. Okay, during that hour, we will have been charged another $60. And so that gives us $485. At this point, we can now work out our two equations. So, for the first bit, the first 3 hours, the gradient is going to be 425 minus 200 over 3 minus 0. Hopefully you can see what this is going to work out as. It's 75. Okay, so this is the gradient for the first section. We don't actually need to do that calculation. The gradient for the second section is $60 an hour. So you could do the calculation, but interpret the information in the question. If you see an hour, per hour, something like that, every hour, that implies a rate of change. So our first equation, or first part of the piecewise linear model, is going to look like this. Y, which is t in our case, minus, let's just pick a point, let's go with this one, equals 75 outside of t minus 0. And look at that. The y-intercept for our first function is this $200 call-out fee. For the second function, let's use this value. So t minus 425 equals 60 times t minus 3. Rearranging that gives us that. And so t is equal to 60t plus 245. So those are the two sections. Final step is to write this as a piecewise linear model. As a function of time is equal to 75t plus 200 for t values between 0 and 3, and 60t plus 245 for t values greater than 3. In part B, where we have to find the total cost of hiring the tiler for 5 hours 45 minutes, first thing to recognize, and this isn't about piecewise linear functions, but is definitely worth mentioning, this is not 5.45 hours. This is 5 hours 45 minutes. 45 minutes as a fraction of 60 is 3/4, or 0.75. And so to evaluate the total cost for 5.75 hours, we are looking at this second part of the piecewise model. If it said 2 hours, then we would look at the first part, 75t plus 200, because that would be between 0 and 3. But our t value here is greater than 3. And so that's the part of the piecewise model that we use. Which equals $595.